Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers. James and Justin back again with another reaction. And in this one, I think we're going to go down the more scientific route here with a Kurzgesagt video entitled, "We Did the Math, You Are Dead."
Makes perfect logical sense. Perfect sense.
It's confusing. Actually, I saw this video about 2 weeks ago, and they've changed the title of the video. I don't know why. And the thumbnail on the video, but I think it had something to say with something to do with like the galaxies dreaming you, or you're being dreamed, or something like that, something to that effect. But they changed the title on it. But it's super interesting, and I thought it'd be fun to react to. So we're gonna do it.
Let's do it.
Absolutely everything you think about yourself and the universe could be an illusion. As far as you know, you are real and exist in a universe that was born 14 billion years ago and that gave rise to galaxies, stars, the Earth, and finally you. Except, maybe not. You may actually not exist for real, but be the dream of a dead universe. You and everything you think exists. Crazy as it sounds, this may be an unavoidable consequence of our best scientific theories about the universe. Okay, this is a bit much. Let's start at the beginning. We need to understand three concepts for this idea to make sense. 1. The arrow of time. What distinguishes the past from the future? Put a drop of red ink into a glass of water and you see the ink spread until it fills the container, but never the opposite. Colored water where ink spontaneously concentrates and becomes a drop at the surface again. Time always seems to flow in the direction in which the ink spreads. But if you take a microscope, all you will see will be a swarm of molecules colliding at random. There are no rules, no forwards and backwards. Every individual motion that happens can occur in reverse. But we perceive a sort of arrow of time that makes things happen in one direction. How does this phenomenon occur? Well, this arrow of time is not actually fundamental, but a matter of probability. When ink molecules spread to fill a glass, there are many different slots of space they can occupy, and therefore many different possibilities to combine them. And just like your chances of winning the lottery grow the more tickets you have, the probability that ink molecules will end up filling the glass is much higher than the probability that they'll concentrate in just one spot. So it's not that the ink forming a drop again is forbidden by the laws of physics, it's just extremely unlikely.
I like that point because I think it's significant to the way we think about reality in the universe, because we get very absolutistic about the way we think about things. But in light of the infinite, reality and the possibilities that could happen, anything might be potentially possible. It's like dropping a brick into water. Like, you could do it a bazillion times, but at a bazillion and two, it might float for some reason. You never know, right? Because it would take you to an infinite amount of testings to see if it sunk every time. Mm-hmm. I think it puts things in perspective. I think, and I think it's scary because then it's like, well, then what can I rest my laurels on? Because there's an infinite amount of probability.
Yes,
very,
true.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you were just an anomaly.
To see it, you'd have to wait about 10 to the power of 100 sextillion years, a 1 followed by 100 sextillion zeros. If you had this much time to spare, eventually, by pure random chance, you'd see a red blob form again. Actually, with enough time, you could see any shape forming, like, for example, a small, red, soggy brain. Okay, let's move on to idea 2. 2. The far future of the universe. Our universe was born 14 billion years ago in the Big Bang. It expanded and evolved to give rise to the myriads of galaxies and things. In other words, the universe is kind of a glass of water with a lot of ink doing stuff. It has an arrow of time. But the universe is not a static glass, it seems to be getting bigger at an ever-increasing speed because of dark energy. Basically, everything in it is getting more and more diluted. In about 100 trillion years, the last star will die. Then, few interesting things will happen for the next few decillions, vantillions, and googles of years. Eventually, the universe will be a dark place fully dominated by dark energy, a rapidly expanding ball of pure space almost devoid of matter. You might think that this would lead to the ultimate death of everything, but dark energy has one last surprise for you. In a universe dominated by dark energy, space expands so dramatically that it creates a cosmic horizon around you, a border beyond which nothing will ever be able to reach you, not even light. So for every practical purpose, the universe has become a glass of finite size about 36 billion light-years wide, surrounded by an impassable cosmic horizon. Such a universe glass is basically a giant black hole turned inside out. We know that due to quantum effects, all black holes emit a tiny amount of particles, a phenomenon known as Hawking radiation. And so does our inside-out black hole. In the end, this radiation will fill the universe glass with particles again. At this point, so far in the future that giving you a number has no more meaning, we've reached the true final state. The universe has now become a closed box full of particles at an extremely low but finite temperature. And since they have a temperature, they undergo random motions. Or in other words, a glass filled with water and ink and an infinite amount of time ahead. Things are about to become interesting again. 3. Typing monkeys and fake universes. Eternity is a long, long time. So now, even the most extremely unlikely things can happen. The fluctuating particles are bumping into each other over and over and over again, creating...
Well, I'm not going to pretend like I'm really grasping any of this.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn complicated for moi.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the gist of it is that, you know, with enough chances, anything's possible.
Yeah, which is, it's fun for me. I love conceptual videos like this that kind of get the brain working, get you kind of like thinking about the possibilities. I try to go to some positive, places here, but just to play kind of like a scary devil's advocate on this, be like, well, if all probabilities, all possibilities are possible, maybe a place conceptual like hell could exist.
Yeah.
If all things are possible.
Right.
That's the only thing, which is kind of like, oh my God, like, ugh. Like it's okay, but I try not to dwell on those types of things. But
But sometimes it's like, the only hell is a conceptual hell anyway, because there are people that enjoy horror movies. There are people that enjoy horror. You know what I mean? So it's like everything kind of renders down to just like what kind of are you going to build yourself a conceptual hell or build yourself a conceptual hell? What are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least for a lot of possibilities.
every combination of particles that's possible. They're like a monkey typing at random on a typewriter. Almost all of the time it types gibberish. But with enough time, eventually it will write the first acts of Hamlet. And with even more time, the complete works of Eminem. If ink in our universe glass generates any random arrangements of particles, what could they be? Well, a spontaneous fluctuation could give rise to a planet, or to a galaxy, or even to a lot of them. So maybe our universe has already ended, and all we see around us is a pop-up universe. Not a universe that evolved from a Big Bang, but one that fluctuated into existence by pure chance. And that, like the drop of ink, will only exist for a while before dissolving again. Being random, pop-up universes could be similar to ours, but with funny glitches. In some of these universes, dinosaurs are riding snails. In another, stars are made of blueberries. In another, you're wearing a funny hat. Scientists in such universes wouldn't understand those glitches, so maybe the greatest mysteries of physics are just nonsense bugs of our pop-up universe. But not all possible fluctuations of our dead universe have the same probability of occurring. Smaller fluctuations are much more probable than bigger ones. A planet is more likely than a galaxy. But you know what's even way more likely? A human brain. Are you actually just a brain? You think, therefore you exist. But what else do you truly know? In the end, your brain is just interpreting signals from your senses and creating a world that you experience. So technically, you could be just your brain that thinks the world is real. And if we follow the logic of the ink in the universe glass, in particular, you could be a disembodied brain that, just by chance, emerged in a dead universe with your complete set of knowledge and memories. This is a pretty bizarre idea, but if we do the maths, it's kind of pretty solid. Let's compare the number of brains inside bodies in a living universe with the number of naked brains in a dead universe. Let's go really big and imagine that a total of 100 quadrillion humans will live around Earth, and that the same amount of people will live around every star in the universe. If we add this together, we get about 10 to the power of 41 brains inside bodies that will exist. However, in a dead universe that has had enough time to explore all possible fluctuations and that will exist forever, the number of naked brains that would emerge is, well, infinite. So the probability that you're a floating brain is not only vastly larger than the probability that you're a real human, it's so inconceivably larger that we can't even meaningfully quantify the difference. How do you compare a number to infinity? So, are you a floating brain that exists for one moment in time, then basically forever passes, and then you exist for another moment in time? Maybe not even in that order. Maybe your life happens backwards, and you just don't notice. Maybe you've lived trillions of times already. Are you the dream of a dead universe? Really? Like, really? Well, probably not. First of all, there are a few loopholes. For example, dark energy could behave completely differently from what we think today and lead us to another future. Or maybe our dead universe will be too motionless.
Sometimes I feel like some of these concepts, when we get into a video like this, some of these concepts are so bizarre and out there that you almost have to have some familiarity or experience with altered states of consciousness to even wrestle with them.
Yeah, maybe the people from the Kurzgesagt or whatever this YouTube channel is, maybe they're messing around with psychedelics or something.
Well, there's a state of, people take for granted how solid normal states of consciousness are, but you can enter into an altered state of consciousness where you're like, I could swear things were speeding up and slowing down. Like time was behaving differently, and like certain laws get broken where you're like, this is impossible. And I think for many of us there is a desire to think that there's something more bizarre going on behind the scenes. I think it's why we have interest in movies like The Matrix and some key to a different way of seeing things.
It's bizarre no matter what, because even if this is just like the plane, what you see is what you get. Yeah. And this is it. It's still wacky bizarre. What we're doing is we're filming here on YouTube, and we're everything that we do with our lives. But it's all bizarre.
But to see that it is, you have to get you have to get to the fringes of things. Yeah. You have to get to the outskirts, because most of life won't even let you be bizarre. Yeah. Like humans are the lords and the kings of things are a way. That we will all agree. You can't even be a proper social entity without like giving yourself over to like a communal way of looking at things. Yeah. But if you exit that, if you do listen to Morpheus and get outside of it, you're like, oh, everything's weird. But you have to be brave enough to do that. You have to care to do that. A lot of people don't care. They're like, just give me some cool shit that I can tell at a party.
Unless to allow the creation of brains, even with infinite time. Or maybe the universe will end up dying in another way. Our understanding of the cosmos doesn't have a solid enough foundation for anyone to worry if they're real or not. Loopholes aside, if you were a fluctuating brain, all the laws of physics stored in your brain would have originated at random and shouldn't bear any relation to the real world. But we just used those laws to prove that you're a floating brain. So even if you believe that you are a floating brain, you'd have to admit that you have no good reason to believe that you are actually a floating brain. Okay, so this hallucinatory trip might teach us something about our theories about the universe. But in the end, it's just a really weird exercise in what you can do with physics. An exercise of what brains and bodies are able to think about. So don't worry, you're not a dream of the dead universe. Probably.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get the name of this YouTube channel right, but great video. And I like anything that kind of like gets you thinking outside of the box, and I think a video like this does that.
I had a dream once. This is just, I don't know, a fun thing.
Yeah.
I had a dream like forever ago. I think I might have been a teenager when I had it. That I kept waking, that I would find out that I could have the power to manipulate reality, and then I would wake up in a different reality. Like it would get out of control when I realized I could do anything with my mind. And the first thing was I woke up into a room of scientists, and they're all like, get him back under, put him under, he's waking up. And then I woke up into another reality where I was like a drifter. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm like, can do anything. And then something would happen and come and like shift me out of that one. Like an infinite loop of keeping you under the pretense that you're not all powerful. And I don't know, I feel like that's, kind of discussed a little bit. Like think of solipsism, go Google solipsism. Yeah. The idea that you're really God and that
you're manifesting everything.
You're manifesting everything,
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's like dreams. We just we take them for granted. Like, oh, we just have this imaginary world that we go into that feels really, really real. Yeah. And then, you know, we snap out of it and then just go pretend like, oh, that's just a thing that goes on down. Like, what the hell are dreams?
Yeah. When you get thinking about infinity, things get haywire.
Oh, yeah.
And it is easy to get into some kind of solipsistic realm. Like, if everything's infinite, what are the odds that you're you then? And aware and watching this, you know what I mean? And like maybe we're tech support waking you up, you know, and like, you know, freaking out intended. I think people need to freak out a little bit more and shake things up and think about their life differently. But, you know, one exercise that I do sometimes is I'll try to get a sense that this reality, because people talk, you know, we were just doing videos on Hinduism and it's like, how to escape being reborn again. So many times it's like, how do we get out of this? But what if this is like a gift of the illusion of matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if everything's infinite, you get lost in a sea of infinite. You can get claustrophobic by infiniteness.
Yeah.
Like it's so infinite, there's nothing to grab onto. So you know.
Let's bring it down to some limitation.
Let's bring it down. We're, you know, oh, I gotta go do the chores today. Thank God you got chores to do. Because otherwise you're God. And you know, infinitely everything.
Yeah, pretty wild to think about. Well, anyway, great video. Let us know what you think, man. There's a lot in there. I'd love to hear some of your comments on this one. And if you did like this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and everybody, until next time, stay spiritual.